Well, if this isn't the most emo thing I have ever seen in my life.
What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for a review of the third full-length album by the UK emo, alternative rock, and to a lesser extent, pop-punk band Moose Blood. The new album is called I Don't Think I Can Do This Anymore. What an emo-sounding title we have on our hands there. I've actually been a fan of this band for a while. Shout out to the viewer that initially recommended them to me in, I believe, late 2015. I was going through a rough time and I had posted about that on social media, and a viewer reached out to me and recommended their album, I'll Keep You in Mind from Time to Time. And it really struck a chord with me because it was very emo at its core, but the songs were helpful and in places and at times bright, and I liked that. I checked out their album Blush in 2016 because my girlfriend is a big fan of this band, a big advocate for their music, and I was pretty receptive to it, honestly. Blush was a good album, not amazing, not sweeping me off my feet by any means, but it was good, and it had a good handful of tracks that I kept coming back to, like Freckle, Honey, and some other good gems that I feel like got kind of buried by people who just kind of grazed over the album. So I was excited to hear new material from them. I only heard Talk in Your Sleep before this album came out, but album number 3 is a big move in a band's career. And I feel like this album is more of a play and a cater to the alternative rock crowd. It's more of a step away in some ways, but it's not just abandoning their roots. And I like that. They're sticking to their guns, but trying new things at the same time. In some ways, many people might find this album to be a bit of a grower. I Don't Think I Can Do This Anymore is an album that features some similar choruses. The song structures all kind of cater to the same type of feel. Not to say that they're all just the exact same cut, copy, paste type of thing. That's not the case whatsoever. It's just that many of the choruses do feel familiar. And a few of these tracks, I will complain, they sound a bit too much like Blush for me. Whereas their first album was just the band kind of putting something out into the world because they wanted to make music and they wanted to make an album and they had these experiences that they wanted to share. And then Blush, of course, was more of them learning how to step into the spotlight and get a little bit more known as a band. I Don't Think I Can Do This Anymore is an album that sees them kind of not cowering in the shadows in fear of their fame, but questioning it, and a lot of other things in life as well, whether it be family members, relationships, of course, because you know Moose Blood are going to have some of that relationship drama packed in there as well, and other situations in life. Obviously, Moose Blood have been through some turmoil as a band over the past year or so, and we're not going to get into all that, but it definitely has been a tumultuous time, and it's nice to see them kind of come back and come out on top. They have a new drummer now, since Glenn has departed from the band, the founding member there, and I'm honestly pleased with their new drummer. He has a lot of good rhythms, and he adds a lot to many of these tracks. And I'm honestly, mostly overall with this album, impressed with the musicality of it, because it is a rollicking good time. There is a lot of fun. There's some really clean and spry guitar licks. The bass definitely pops off on some of these tracks, especially like You Left in the Worst Way. That one had me sinking my teeth in like it was a prime rib, and then they just pull it off the plate. It's only 2 minutes long. I want more. Even though some of these tracks do feel a little bit too simple in places, I can't help but kind of fall for them. Some of these tracks, like Can We Stay Like This? This just seems like a plea to go back to these simpler times of a relationship or even a friendship or maybe a time with bandmates. Who knows exactly what it's about, but this track, it's just struck a chord with me. It's a fun one. Then you have something like Promise Me, which features a fan-fucking-tastic guitar solo. Seriously, ear candy right there. This track has a lot of things going for it. It has a great rhythm, a great vocal melody, and a hook that will soar for days. I have to praise Moose Blood once again for doing something that they do very well, and that is the vocals all around. Even the backing vocals here, I feel like they've kind of kicked that up a notch, and that really comes to fruition on moments like one of my top favorites, Such a Shame. It comes near the end of this record, and I don't think that that song would be what it is without those kind of rough around the edges, almost a little bit desperate in terms of the backing vocals. And during the chorus of that track, the backing vocals almost get just as loud and they kind of match the lead vocals there. And I love that. The fact that Eddie's voice and obviously the backing voice as well, they come together and they make this cut magic. However, I'm not really much of a fan of Walk All Day With You. That is a track that feels very, very basic, just just slow and brooding for the sake of being slow and brooding, and there is another track that does that much better with much more of an impact on this very record. It's the closing moment, It's Too Much, and I love the somber guitar there, the fact that the notes just kind of stray from each other. It's just like almost a little trace here and there, and it stays steady and consistent the entire time, whereas Walk All Day With You is one that just kind of wanders into oblivion. A couple of the singles, aka the two opening songs on this record, also strike a chord as well. They're not songs that I would say that I am necessarily head over heels for, although I will say Talk in Your Sleep is probably my favorite of the two, but they're both good songs, that and Have I Told You Enough. They definitely have staying power to them, and it's something like if you want to listen to this album, you're gonna want to play the full thing. There's not really skippables, I don't think, on this album, and that is a good thing for Moose Blood. Even though I don't love all of these songs, and I do have favorites that I will probably cherry pick off, I feel like if I'm going to listen to this record, it is impactful enough, it makes big enough emotions and a big enough statement overall that I'm going to want to come back to this as an entire body of work. To sum it all up, even though this record does get predictable in places and some of the choruses you feel like you do see them coming, this album doesn't stop itself from having a good time and letting the listener maybe be a little bit emo, but also have some upbeat tunes as well. There's only like 2 really slow songs on this album, and that kind of surprised me. I guess I expected them to go a little bit darker on this record for some reason, but it's okay that they didn't, at least in terms of like the brightness of the music. I'm pretty happy with the product here, and once again, while I'm satisfied, I'm not head over heels in love. So just like Blush, this new album, I don't think I can do this anymore, is getting a 3.5 out of 5 for me. It's a solid album with some great guitar work, a lot of good bass work, the vocals, the drums, the musicianship is on point. The lyrics just drag it down in places, and the kind of predictable song structures. But what do you think? Sound off in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like on this review while you're here to show support for the channel, and subscribe if you were new here. Please support me on Patreon if you are able to at the top link down below, or else that annotation in the corner. It helps videos like this keep coming on a monthly basis. If you want to see my review of Blush by Moose Blood, then tap right here, or another recent rock or alternative review right over here. All of my social media accounts can be found linked in the description down below, and other than that, I'll see you very soon right here on ARTV.